where we left earlier, we saw that there is this trinity of artists as far as the European Renaissance is concerned. First and foremost among them was Leonardo da Vinci, who did not stop at doing even illegal or socially unacceptable things in order to further our knowledge about human beings in general, human anatomy especially, and other ideas also. He recorded some of them which were not practicable or which were time. So Da Vinci did a great deal to further the cause of humanism and further the cause of not cause of, but further the ideas of European Renaissance. Then we have this. Okay, yeah. The next artist who's extremely important from Renaissance point of view is Michelangelo, who's all these things: painter, architect, poet, engineer, sculptor, working with a medium like marble and still managing to, depict not just details of clothes and muscles and body parts, but also emotions. So when he says that this sculpture is called as pietà, that is compassion, in a normal eyes would be on the face of Jesus, had it been a normal sculpture. But this is Michelangelo creating a sculpture, and he wants to convey the idea of compassion. He wants to convey the idea of feeling the other person's pain, and so he manages the sculpture in such a fashion that all our eyes automatically go towards the face of Mary, who's not even having her eyes open. So evocative eyes and all of that. No, not that kind of magic is not working, but still the whole stance of this lady who's feeling the pain of her son who's being crucified, it's completely a piece of poetry in marble, really speaking. So Michelangelo was such a gifted sculptor, again embodying the spirit of the Renaissance, because the story is biblical clearly, and still he manages to give it a very contemporary kind of feel and look and expression, and makes it very relevant to our lives, even in the 16th century. Even today we feel the same feelings when we look at that statue. The statue of David, we earlier discussed the significance of the idea of David fighting Goliath. So this is also something which speaks about the potentials of human beings. Even if you are small, even if you are not endowed with great machinery, even if you don't have the technology, even if you don't have public support, if you have a mind that is full of confidence about your potential, then that is definitely going to help you win over even the biggest of hurdles. That's the message he was trying to convey, very successfully, of course, through the sculpture of David, which he created and which resulted in a, see here, De Medici family. It resulted in even posing a challenge to the supremacy of the De Medici family also. But all that comes under political history, so we are not going into those details. This fresco, beautiful one, because of this PowerPoint thing, it's not looking as I would have liked it to look, and also it's a picture from the ceiling, so it's not always like a square, length and breadth, two-dimensional kind of a thing. But still, the Last Judgment is again one of the very famous frescoes done by him in the very center of Catholic Christianity and organized church power. This is something that Anushri briefly touched upon, the idea of censorship. So this person who's a master of ceremonies for the Pope, Cesena, says that this is a disgraceful thing to do, to show much of to show so much of nudity in a painting which is supposed to adorn the walls of a religious buildings such as the Sistine Chapel, and he felt that this is really not worthy of a chapel, but rather for the public baths and taverns, cheap kind of tactics to attract attention. That's what he felt about the piece of art. Michelangelo, being an artist, of course, did not cow down to the kind of censorship or the kind of criticism, and he in fact did take revenge on Cesena by showing him his face with donkey ears. So, idea that I'm trying to convey is that there will always be censorship, there will always be attempts to dilute what you are trying to convey as an artist, as an author, as a thinker. But if you are a thinker, an author, or an artist who has a mind of their own, then probably you can find ways of talking back. You can find ways of fighting this attempt of suppressing your thoughts. Michelangelo seems to have done just that in case of Cesena. Of course, things are not always hunky-dory, because later on, as one can see in the lower part of this slide, after the Council of Trent condemned nudity in religious art, some parts of Michelangelo's painting were painted over because they felt that these are objectionable parts. That kind of a dialogue between various viewpoints keeps happening, but that does not mean that the artist or the thinker should simply cow down, or should simply not say what they want to say. Okay, this one, Creation of Adam, we've already seen it earlier. Trying to give an almost equal position as God to a human being, again painted a nude in order to show that man in his purest expression of body parts is a representative of God on this earth, and hence a worthy subject of knowledge. There's nothing sinful about a human body. There's nothing impure about a human body, because human body in itself is a creation of God. That was the whole idea of painting all these nudes. The third artist in the Trinity is Raphael. Again, a man of many talents. With all these paintings, you have an entire Raphael gallery wherein he has painted. These pictures are familiar, of course, to you because we've seen them. Dante, and this one is Homer, created in the image of Laocoon. See here, the blind poet, Laocoon. Eventually, Raphael became an established artist with his own studio and all those things. So he later on, what he did was he only provided a design. The idea was given, and other artists would complete the pieces for him. This one is designed by him. So the composition.
Do the sketches, ma'am.
Yes, the composition. Yes. Do the sketches, do the composition part of it, and the detailing would be done by others. Themes are always biblical or Greco-Roman, again pointing towards the ideas of Renaissance. Okay. And these three are the famous Trinity of the Renaissance. And we can move on to Shakespeare. Only one slide is there because many of us have, of course, read his plays at least. Shakespeare is another very, very important figure from the Renaissance period, 16th and early 17th century. So he's early modern also, Renaissance also, both these things. One can see all those plays that he has written. They deal with themes from, not all, but many of them deal with themes from the Greco-Roman period. Earlier I had mentioned about Brutus U2. So we have Othello, we have Romeo Juliet, we have Julius Caesar, we have many others, King Lear, which deal with, not King Lear, the earlier ones, they deal with the Greco-Roman period. So all in all these various artists, playwrights, poets, sculptors, or sometimes one person doing all those things, they manifested the ideas of what came to be known as the Renaissance. We'll stop here, and in the next lecture we will see if there was such a thing as Renaissance, or this is only a figment of imagination. So that is food for thought for you guys. Think and come back. Do look up. A lot of material is available on this theme. Was Renaissance a real thing, or is this something that we are only projecting on those centuries? Okay, so we'll stop here, but you can ask questions or whatever.